Thanks, Chloe. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Sam. I'm Invention Lead at Mindshare, part of the WPP network. And WPP is one of the founding members of the Unstereotype Alliance Australia. Now, before I get into the session today, I do want to call out that we will be referencing issues around social equity and also discrimination. So please, of course, if you need to, feel free to step out for a moment. And today, we are going to be asking one simple question. This is a question that's worth $1 billion to the Australian economy, but whose value to society is truly immeasurable. This is a question that has the power to transform our industry and the lives of the millions of Australians that currently don't feel seen or heard in our media landscape. Because today and every day, millions of Australians are exposed to the ads that we place, to the work that we create, the content we put out there, the partnerships we build, and they don't see themselves represented. So an Unstereotype Alliance study that we conducted in conjunction with IPG and Ipsos uncovered a really, really stark reality. We found that 59% of Australians believe that discrimination remains widespread in our society. And whilst 59% of women see themselves represented in the work that we put out there, just 41% of men do. Less than half of people living with visible or non-visible disabilities actually feel positively portrayed in advertising. And what was really, really tough to uncover in this research was that less than half of men who identify as LGBTQIA+ actually feel like equal citizens in our society. And this was some really, really confronting statistics to uncover. And whilst we have come a really, really long way since I started out in advertising in the early 2000s, it's clear that we have some major gaps that we need to bridge. And so as we head kind of deeper into this global inclusion recession, we simply can't afford to press pause. And closing these gaps is not just a moral imperative, it's actually a commercial imperative too. So a study that we conducted with Oxford University's Said Business School found that brands that actually invest in inclusion significantly outperform the market. And that's across all measures, including pricing power and also long-term sales growth. And what this represents here in Australia is $1 billion growth opportunity that is literally sitting here waiting for us to unlock it. But where do we begin? Well, the greatest revolutions didn't necessarily start with us having all the answers. They first started with a powerful question. So with so many Australians right now demanding to be seen and heard in the work that we create, there is one simple question that we can all ask at every step of our media response. And this question is, who's missing? So who's missing in our audience research? Who's missing in our targeting? Who's missing in our partner selection, in our teams, in our briefing rooms? And who's missing in our thinking? At every step, right from our strategy, right through to our media buy. And really to show the transformative power of this question today, I would like to introduce someone who has lived this every day and has seen firsthand the power and the potential of what we can achieve when we ask who's missing. So I'd like to welcome Priya Adams-Williams from the Dylan Alcott Foundation. She's Shift 20 Initiative Lead to the stage. Welcome, Priya.
Thanks so much, Sam, and thank you everyone for that warm welcome. I'm truly so honored to be here today to help launch such an important campaign. Because for me, who's missing is personal. Growing up in the middle of America in the 90s, I was who's missing. I didn't see myself represented on screen, whether that was in film, television, or advertising. It's what led me to pursue a career in advertising, to ask the question, who's missing, and actively challenge our industry to diversify the faces we're seeing on our screens and the stories we're telling in our campaigns. It's what's led me to now lead the Shift 20 initiative at the Dylan Alcott Foundation, because over 20% of the Australian population is frequently missing from our campaigns. I'm of course talking about the 5.5 million people in Australia who have some form of disability. Despite comprising 21% of our population, people with disability are currently seen in our campaigns at a rate of less than 2%. But the Shift 20 initiative and campaigns like Who's Missing are here to change that. At Shift 20, we work with brands day in and day out to educate them on the importance of authentic and meaningful representation. We're also launching industry tools like Shift 20 Casting Call, which is an open source platform for casting people with disability that's all housed on TikTok. But I think most importantly, what we're doing is telling everyone who we interact with that they can make a change, and we all just have to start somewhere. And that's a challenge that I'd like to extend to all of you in this room today. Whether that is rethinking a media strategy or having a conversation about how to more meaningfully engage with cold audiences, to thinking about accessibility at an activation. These are all small and meaningful changes that can snowball into huge impact for Who's Missing. Let's take Shift 20 Casting Call. Oh, I've forgotten to move the slides, perfect. Let's take Shift 20 Casting Call, for example. I'm so proud to say that we have cast people with disability in major campaigns for brands like The Iconic and Anytime Fitness, and we've even put people forward for lead roles in TV series and feature films. Most importantly, we're opening doors that previously didn't seem accessible to so many Australians with disability. We currently have over 75 people on Shift 20 Casting Call. They come from all over Australia. There's a range of different ages, cultural backgrounds, gender identities, and disabilities, which naturally highlights the intersectionality that you get when you consider disability. And I'm gonna pull a piece of paper out now because I want to get this quote right, as it comes from Celine, a young woman who submitted to Shift 20 Casting Call. Celine said, "I'd tried to apply to other agents because I'd wanted to do acting since I was young, but I was always told I wouldn't get booked. Hearing that a lot when I was younger brought my confidence down. But when I saw casting calls out on TikTok, I thought, oh, there are people on here who are unique as well, instead of being told that I look different. So I applied." Celine and people like her are who's missing from our media landscape, but with appetite from the industry to create positive impact, that's starting to change, and it's changing lives as we go along. I'm so proud to say that that quote came from Celine on the set of her first ever shoot for a brand campaign that goes live later this year. And with that, I'll hand back to Sam to tell you how you can get involved with Who's Missing.
Can I take the clicker? Thank you, Priya, and thank you for showing us what kind of innovation is possible when we ask who's missing. Because this isn't just about diversity campaigns. This is every campaign. This is every brief, and this is every day. So please think about who's missing right in the initial stages of your research, at every key decision point during your campaign planning. And at any point when we're choosing how and where our messaging should appear, whose stories are we telling? Who's getting to tell them? What languages are we using? How are we making those stories accessible? So inclusion isn't just, whilst we have these amazing people and culture departments here, inclusion isn't just their job. It's not just the job of HR, it's the job of every single person in this room. And that's why today we wanted to invite every person to please scan now and pledge to ask who's missing and embed it in every brief from now on. So when you scan, you can opt in to receive a toolkit, and this has practical guidance on how to embed the question into your day-to-day and into your workflow. And you can also find out more about all the amazing partners that are out there, like Shift 20, like Cold Audience and multicultural media platforms that are there to collaborate with you on your solutions. And just wanted to end by saying, let's use our collective power to really build a more inclusive and representative media landscape.
And I know we've both said it once today, but it bears repeating. Every single one of us in this room can make a change. So please ask who's missing. Challenge the ideas that are put forward in the rooms you're in. And together, we all can make a difference. Thank you so much.